Keto Nana and the perfect keto bread.
Hey y'all, Keto Nana here for a special cooking episode. I don't have the fancy tripods and all the extra cameras and stuff to do a really good cooking show, so we're going to do a really okay cooking show. And I'm just going to show you sort of the main steps, talk you through the process, show you like the main parts of it, like what it should look like before it goes into the loaf pan, which I think is really important, and then showing you the finished product so I can convince you hopefully that this is probably the best, or I think it's the best keto bread out there. So in the beginning, I had no problem giving up bread. It really wasn't a thing, but as the months went on, I found myself wanting toast or wanting a sandwich. Grandkids were over and I made them French toast. I'm like, oh, that would be so nice to have, because you can have eggs and with just butter and some maple extract, you can make yourself a nice sort of maple syrup, you know, faux maple syrup. So all I was lacking was the vehicle for all this. So I started my quest, and I began with mug breads, which very, very quickly I realized was no bueno, not at all what I would want. They're too eggy. That baked egg smell when it comes out of the microwave is horrible. Made me ill, sometimes like physically ill. And so I couldn't do that. Now mug cake, like a chocolate mug cake, I can handle that. I think the chocolate and maybe the sweetener in it kind of overpowers the egg smell, and so I don't smell it. So, but for bread, go away, fly. For bread, no, mugs were not going. So I had to keep my search going. And I tried a couple other ones, and they were too eggy. And so I started sort of gradually getting a criteria of what I was looking for, what my perfect bread would entail. One of the places I went to along my quest was Highfalutin Low Carb. He was reviewing 3 different bread recipes, and the winner, oh, that's my oven. The winner, everything in my kitchen is musical. I'm not really sure why, but it is. So he was reviewing 3 bread recipes, and the one that won was the soul bread. And so for a while, for actually a couple of months, I was making soul bread. Well, maybe 2 months. Yeah, a couple of months. But it was very time consuming. It required a special ingredient. I had to special order the the protein whey powder from Amazon. It was pricey. You have to add the xanthan gum in bits. So you have to like mix, add, shake. You had to put it into a salt shaker, shake a little bit out, mix. So that took time. And the finished product is really good. I think soul bread is really good. It's very tasty. It toasts great. Has a nice flavor. It doesn't, it just was time consuming and required a special ingredient that I had to order off of Amazon. And I was like, so this is where I started to, come up with what's my criteria. Easy to make, easy to find ingredients, no eggy smell. Ideally, no yolks in it at all, if I could avoid that. What else? And really as bread-like as you possibly could make it. That really was my goal, to be as bread-like as possible, as easy to make, no eggy taste, and easy to find ingredients. And I found it on Maya's Wholesome Yum. Her easy paleo keto bread has 5 main ingredients. There's a couple other ones that obviously, like, baking powder or salt. It's not going to be like a main ingredient. And then a few that she recommends, but you don't have to have. So it's very easy. Every ingredient that she has, I already have. Xanthan gum, you may not have, but you can get it at the grocery store. So you don't have to special order that anywhere. So in my bowl right now, I have all the dry ingredients. I have almond flour, coconut flour, baking powder, salt, and some xanthan gum. So that's in there. She also recommends erythritol. She says 1.5 teaspoons or tablespoons. I'm on a no sweetener thing. I'm actually on day 8 of no sweetener, which is going a whole lot better than the last time I did no sweetener. So I'm not going to tempt myself, and I don't really think you need any erythritol in it, but if you want to, go ahead, add it. What I'm going to do is add pulse all my dry ingredients together in my food processor. I'm going to do that now, and then I'm going to melt the butter, and then I'm going to pulse that, and I'll show you what that looks like once it's all put together. So hold on for 1 second. Okay, so I've pulsed the butter so that you can see. Let me see if I can get it better. So it looks like cornmeal. That's really what you do. You just pulse it enough, mix it so that it looks like cornmeal, and then you're done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to beat my egg whites. You need a lot of egg whites, and as I don't really like to separate the eggs because I don't know what to do to all those yolks. It's a lot of egg whites. So what I do, very easy, I just buy the liquid egg whites. So I can, I think you need about 12, although she says that that's about 1.5 cups. Based on their measurements, that's actually 12 eggs is more, but I don't know what the size of the eggs are. So what I've always done is I've just gone by her measurements. I use 1.5 cups of the liquid egg white. Oops, there it is. Add some cream of tartar and beat it until it is completely stiff. Usually I start that at the same time that I'm mixing the dry ingredients and then adding the butter so that the peaks are done and I'm ready to go. So I'm going to do that right now. So stay tuned. Welcome back. I have beat the eggs. The peaks are stiff. One word of, I guess, sort of a tip is use a metal or a glass bowl. When I first started making this recipe, I was an idiot and I used plastic, and I couldn't understand my plastic bowls. I couldn't understand why my peaks were never getting stiff. Why? And they weren't rising nearly as high as they should. It's because any kind of oily residue, and it's really hard to get that off of out of a plastic bowl like this. Is going to stick. So you really want a metal or a glass. If you have a KitchenAid, awesome, you're all set. And it makes the beating of them really handy. I have my little butter dry ingredient mix here, and I'm going to take half of this mixture, half of the egg white mixture, put it into the food processor and pulse it to get everything fully mixed. At that point, I'm going to then make a little hole on my egg white bowl and start adding in the other mixture and just gradually incorporate it. So I'll be back for that. Just want you to know that I'm going to be adding the egg whites, or half the bowl of the egg whites. I'm going to pulse it in there. The rest of it you're going to hand very gently incorporate, basically because your rise, your lift is coming from your egg whites. There's no leavening agent, so you really don't want to go crazy when you're stirring. You want to very gently fold in and get everything mixed. So you take half of it and you mix it to get it a nice kind of moist mixture, and then you very gently fold in the egg whites to the rest of the mixture so that you can keep your rise. I've also prepared my baking loaf pan. So I sprayed it with coconut oil and lined it with parchment paper. Parchment paper is going to make it very easy to get the bread out once it's baked. So my oven is preheated at 350. It's going to go, when I finally put it in there, it'll go for 45 minutes. So just hold on and I'll show you the next step. Okay, I've gotten everything that I can out of my food processor into this bowl that has the egg white. I'm not sure you can really see it very well, but what I've done is I've slid the remaining bit of egg white over to the side and added the the other mixture in there, and I'm just going to very gradually, very gently incorporate it. I'm going to see if I can get a shot of that, see if that will actually, there we go. I think that's pretty good. So it's very gentle. I'm just gradually pulling in more and more of the egg white mixture into it. I'm trying not to be like a crazy person and mixing too fast. I've had it where I just didn't, I thought I shouldn't mix it as well as I did, and I ended up with very flaky egg white like all over the bread. It didn't change the flavor of the bread, but it was just kind of disconcerting to have this flaky layer of just basically meringue on the top. And so I just kind of, now that it's getting in there, I'm just gradually folding it, getting it all mixed up and incorporated. Just going down to the bottom of the bowl to make sure that I get everything mixed. One of the good things about using the food processor to pulse all the dry ingredients is that sometimes, like I said, almond flour can be kind of clumpy. And so this prevents, or not prevents, but it keeps me from having to sift. And I'm all about taking as few steps as possible. This loaf makes about 18 slices, depending on how thick you slice them. But they say a half-inch thick makes 18 slices. I think I get about that. I don't know. I might get like 17 out of it actually, but be that as it may, it lasts, 7 to 8 days with my husband and I both having bread. It has no preservatives, so it's not going to stay. And now we're into summer, and I'm very curious to see how long it actually will last. Will it last a week? The other alternative that you could do is you could cut it in half, slice one half of it, and freeze those slices, and then take them out as you need them, and then just toast your bread. That's probably, depending on how horrible it is this summer, that's what I might have to do, because I would hate to see this bread go to waste, and I also don't really want to make 2 loaves of bread a week. So we're about ready to put everything into our loaf pan, so sit tight and I'll be right back to show you what that looks like. Okay, I have my dough mixture into my pan. You probably can't tell, but what I do is I pile it all into the middle and kind of smooth it down so that it's at an angle, so it's taller in the middle and sloping at the edge, at the ends, so it's more loaf-like. It has more of a loaf look to it. But you'll see it when we get it out of the oven. So like I said, it's in an 8.5 by 4.5 by 2.5 loaf pan. It's going to bake for 45 minutes at 350. Y'all, I have forgotten about it at times. I work from home and I had put in a loaf of bread, gone up to start working on a project, and it was over an hour and 15 minutes. I'm like, oh my God, I'm making bread. And I run down and I think this is going to be very bad. I've, destroyed, this loaf, and I'm going to have to start all over again. I take it out of the oven and it's a little darker than it normally is, but it was fine. It was totally fine. It was maybe a little drier than it normally is, but it was still totally fine. Wasn't burnt. No, it was totally fine. So honestly, 45 minutes is like, I guess, the minimum. You can let it go a little bit longer if you forget, or if you like it a little bit darker. I will mention that this is a dense loaf, since there's no leavening, there's no rising agents in it. It's not going to get, very big. It's pretty dense. I always have a drink, like a drink of tea or something like that. When it's fresh out of the oven and you put melted butter on it, it doesn't need anything. But, as it goes on, and as it starts to, since there's no preservatives, it starts to dry out a little bit. You do want to have a drink. I like to have peanut butter on my toast, and that can be a lethal combination if you don't have something on hand to help wash it down. So just 45 minutes-ish at 350, and we'll be back soon. See ya. Hello, we're back. The bread is out of the oven. Here it is, and oh, it's very, very hot. Oh, very hot glory. It's actually rose pretty good today. It's always always an interest to me to see what's going to happen. It's never 100% the same. But that's the fun of baking. I'm going to let it go for cool off for about 15 minutes or so. Then I'm going to take it out, slice it so you can see it in all its buttery gloriousness. So hold on, and I'll be back in 15. See ya. Oh my God, y'all, I could not wait. I had to slice it, so here it is. With one slice cut out of it, you can see it's got a nice rise. Let me pull that down a little bit. If I can get a little bit closer, you can see that there's holes. It doesn't have that weird sound. If you've gone to high pollutant low carb and watched him squeeze the bread and hear it make that awful sound, that's how you know it's eggy. There is only egg white, so it doesn't have that eggy sound to it or texture. Here's my piece of buttered bread. I'm going to close this down a little bit so I can get this closer. You can see it. Oh my God. This bread is worthy of the good stuff. So I have put Kerrygold on it. And I've made a cup of tea, which is why I was like, I can't wait. I have to have some now. Everything is better with tea. So here goes. Like I said, fresh out of the oven with some butter on it. You don't really need a drink. This is such good bread. This bread holds up. It toasts beautifully. I actually made French toast with it last weekend, and it was fabulous. And I made my, I just did butter and maple extract. I didn't, because I'm not doing any sweetener. So, and that was fabulous. I lightly toasted the bread, dunked it in the egg mixture, cooked it in the butter, put my little butter and maple extract syrup on top, and it was fabulous. This bread is a hit. This bread is awesome. Easy to make. Readily available ingredients. I think the only problem that you're going to have is kind of limiting yourself. I limit myself to 2 slices of bread, even though it's only 2 carbs. That's, each slice is a carb and 80 something calories. I don't want to go crazy. It does have a lot of egg in it, a lot of egg white, and so I want to, get my veggies and everything else in there. But you could easily have more than 2 slices a day, and it would not mess up your keto at all. If you haven't tried Maya's Wholesome Yum paleo keto bread recipe, I have the link down below. I also have the link to the soul bread because I thought soul bread was delicious. It just was too complicated for me, and I'm all about very, very easy. So until next time, keto on, enjoy your bread, take good care of yourself, and I'll see you soon. Bye.